Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. Also make sure you turn off the water supply underneath the sink. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the KitchenAid Refrigerator Evaporator Tray. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new evaporator tray. The evaporator tray is located at the bottom of the refrigerator and it catches all the water from the defrost cycle. The main reason to be changing it out is if it's cracked or damaged and you're getting water on the floor. In order to get to the part, we have to go to the back of the refrigerator. Now that we're at the back of the refrigerator, we're going to use our 1/4-inch nut driver to remove all the screws that hold the access cover on. Once you have all the screws out, you can pull the lower half of the cover away from the machine so the top half drops out of its little retaining slot, and then we can pull it off the machine. Now we can take the water valve out. We're going to use a 1/4-inch nut driver to remove the 2 screws that hold it to the cabinet. Once you have both screws out, you can carefully pull the water valve out and make sure it doesn't tangle with any of the wires. If you have to, you can pull the water line out of this clip to give you a little bit more slack. Then we have to disconnect the water tube from where it hooks up to the valve. So first thing we're going to do is throw a towel down to catch any water that may come out. If you have the older type water valve that has the compression fittings, you're going to have to use a 1/2-inch wrench to take off the nut to take the water line off the valve. We have the newer type quick disconnect, so I'm just going to use a 3/8-inch wrench to push in on the locking collar, and then we can pull the water line out of the valve. Now that we have the water tube disconnected, we can pull the towel out and carefully set the water valve down so it's out of the way. It looks like the manufacturer taped the evaporator tray to the bottom of the refrigerator, so we're going to reach in with a razor blade and just cut the tape off. If there's any old tape there, you can pull that out. And then we have to take this clamp off. This is your water supply line from the house. We're going to take this clamp off so we have a little bit of slack when we pull the water filter housing out. Once you have the screw out, you can just leave the clamp on the line, and then we can go around to the front of the refrigerator. Now that we're at the front of the fridge, we have to open up both doors so we can remove the kick plate. To get the kick plate off, there's a locking tab on each end. We're just going to take a putty knife and carefully get in between the frame and the kick plate so we don't scratch anything. And then we can twist the putty knife to release the locking tab. Once you have this side done, we can do the one on the other. It comes off the same way. Once you have the kick plate off, we can pull it out and set it aside. Now that we have the kick plate off, we can remove the water filter housing. First thing we're going to do is unhook this little support bar. All you have to do is lift up on it and swing it out of the way. And then we can use our 5/16 nut driver to take out the 2 screws that hold the housing to the frame. Once you have the screws out, we can carefully pull the water filter housing out. There's a foam block there. You can pull it out and set it aside. And then we can pull this out and just kind of set it to the side. And then we can reach in and pull out the evaporator tray. We can reach in with the razor blade and cut the tape off that holds it in. It's about 6 inches in from the front of the fridge. Once you have the tape cut, you can reach in and lift the evaporator tray up from behind the tab and then carefully pull it out. Here's the old evaporator tray next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. To put the new evaporator tray in, we're just going to carefully feed it up underneath all the water lines. If you have to, you can lift them up. we're going to slide this back into position so it's right behind the same mounting tab that we lifted it out of a minute ago. Once you have the evaporator tray all the way in there, we can put a piece of tape across the tab to hold it in place. Once you have the evaporator tray in, we can put the filter housing back in. We're just going to grab it and move it back over into position. And before we put it in, we're going to put our foam block in. And we can line it up and push it back into place. I'm going to make sure the screw holes on the bottom line up. Once you have it in place, we can grab our 5/16 inch nut driver and put the screws back in. Once you have the screws tightened down, we can put in the little support bar. All you have to do is hook it into the filter housing. Once you have it in place, if this water line came out, you can push it back into position. Once you have it in place, we can put the kick plate back on. To put the kick plate on, all you have to do is line it up, and then you can rotate it up and lock it into place. Once you have it in place, we can close both the doors. Now we can go around to the back of the fridge and put everything together there. Now that we're around back, we can tape the evaporator tray down. We're just gonna reach in and push it down so it's all the way flat. We're gonna put the tape on. Once you have the tape started, we're just gonna run the tape down and stick it to the bottom of the refrigerator. Now that we have the evaporator tray taped down, we can reach in and grab the water tube and reconnect it to the water valve. All you have to do is reach in and grab it. It should be somewhere in here. You just have to reach in and find it and pull it out so we can reconnect it to the valve. If you have the compression style fitting, you'll have to use the 1/2 inch wrench to tighten up the nut. We have the quick disconnect type, so we're just going to push this all the way until it bottoms out and you get a good seal. Pull on it to make sure it's locked in there. Once you have it secure, we can remount the water inlet valve to the cabinet. We're just going to carefully push it in and guide it past all the wires. Once you have it in place, we're going to use our 1/4 inch nut driver to put the screws in to hold it in place. Once you have the water valve mounted, we can follow the water line down and make sure we put it back in this clip if it came out. The second one too if it happened to come out. Once you have that secure, we can reconnect the water fill line. We're just going to grab our 1/4 inch nut driver and put the screw through the clamp and then tighten it down so it's held to the back wall. Now that we have the screw tightened down, we can put the access cover back on the refrigerator. To put the access cover on, all you have to do is lift it up into the channel and then line up the screw holes. Once you have it in place, we're going to put this screw in first to hold it in place while we put the other screws in. Now that we have the access cover installed, we can plug the refrigerator back in, turn the water back on, and make sure it starts to cool. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.